You're listening to RealAgriculture.com. Get real, get connected. Shaun Haney here with RealAgriculture.com, and right now I'm joined by Ryan Goodman. He is a blogger. His blog is agricultureproud.com. Ryan, welcome today. How are you doing?
Thanks, Shaun. Doing pretty good and enjoying some nice spring weather.
Yeah, I think Montana and Alberta are both doing very well in that area. It's beautiful out. Ryan, let's talk a little bit about a series of blog posts that you've been putting on your site centered around your discussions with, I believe it was the marketing manager at Chipotle. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, I've had several different conversations over the past couple of years with some marketing folks involved with Chipotle, some folks there in Denver and New York City.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, Chipotle is taking a particular stance in terms of their feelings towards modern or conventional agriculture, however you want to phrase that. Also, lots of comments about GMOs and whether or not they're included in their ingredients or not. And we'll talk a little bit about that with you. I guess let's start. What exactly motivated you to initiate this obviously this very controversial discussion with the people at Chipotle?
Chipotle has had a few years of this campaign going on that they call Food with Integrity, and their whole vibe and subject around that is they're trying to encourage folks and their customers to cultivate a better world, and they center around that around responsibly raised food ingredients that they utilize. And back in 2011, they started in kind of a campaign with a series of animated ads around that. And their whole theme on that has been pitting good versus bad, modern conventional agriculture production, bad compared to where we became. And that was kind of the theme of their first major ad that they put out. It was called Back to the Start and depicted agriculture as it was, wide open spaces, and then evolution over time into a factory farm setting. And then they depicted that better products come from the way it was back before. We've changed all of these things with food and agriculture. And so kind of the way that they've approached that through their series of ads and their campaign has been attacking modern farmers and ranchers and attacking our conventional food production system. And using a lot of fear in that. And that doesn't sit very well, I guess.
Yeah. So, in this opinion that they've been, in this marketing campaign, do you think they really have a firm understanding at all of modern agriculture?
With my understanding from conversations with some of the marketing folks, it's difficult to understand that they do have a grasp on how modern agriculture and conventional farmers and ranchers operate. In their conversations, that they've shown that they're trying to reveal a systemic problem within agriculture and modern agriculture. But when I've talked to some of the folks, and I had several conversations with a guy up in New York City, and he displayed a disconnect between what happens with farmers and ranchers and why they were disgruntled and frustrated with these ad campaigns, even though the Chipotle says, well, they were marketing to larger industry. Those of us involved in agriculture and the farmers and ranchers are very involved in an intimate relationship with their work from the bottom to top. And Chipotle and their marketing execs and personnel haven't displayed an ability to understand that connection to their products that farmers and ranchers have. So it's very difficult to understand that they would have an understanding of modern agriculture and how it operates today.
So what's the end game, Ryan, in your opinion? Like, is this anything more than just trying to gain attention to their brand, and it's really just a marketing campaign, or is it for them? Do they see this as something bigger?
I think Chipotle sees this marketing campaign as something bigger, and they're definitely trying to influence change and bring awareness to issues. And I think that has been shown as they're progressively become more aggressive in their Food with Integrity campaigns, going from labeling GMOs on their menus in 2013 until this recent announcement in the last couple of weeks of removing all GMO ingredients from their stores. And I think that's been shown. And my hope in these conversations is to bring some of them to the table. But I think that they've shown that they're not willing to talk to farmers and ranchers or those involved in the industry about what is misrepresented in their campaigns and marketing. And so I guess my ultimate goal in being involved in this is to raise awareness in the lack of integrity in their marketing and how there's discrepancy between their marketing and what's actually going on in their products and the farmers that they're sourcing them from.
Yeah, so you mentioned in one of the posts, and I think it's a key point here, there's a little bit of irony where it's, in terms of better food and all these kinds of things, and we're not going to have GMOs, yet we're going to serve burritos that have 1,100 calories. Where does all that shake out?
Oh, exactly. And several major media outlets, including the Chicago Tribune, Wall Street Journal, and all across the country have brought light to that this week, that they're advertising healthier food with removing the GMOs because they're unsure of the health effects of that. But you can find several testimonials and go to their website and look at their ingredient list and see their calorie counts on their menu. And they're serving meals. By the time you add a soft drink on there, it may be over 2,000 calories. And I don't understand how they don't see the contradiction between those two. And when I asked the Chipotle marketing folks about that, they said that it was the customer's responsibility to reduce that portion size, even though that it was the large portion size listed on their menu.
Yeah, the funny thing is, with all the, obviously food is a very interesting topic for a lot of people right now, which is great. But it's just amazing that sort of fact just sort of slips by. That, we can market ourselves as a healthier choice, yet at the same time serve, food with such a high, that's an unrealistically brutal calorie count. It just seems, I just don't know how people fall for that.
Oh, exactly. And it's not just the calories. If you look at their menu, they're very comparable to any other fast food chain out there in sodium and fat content of their dishes as well. So that just adds to the discrepancy between what they're actually serving in their marketing techniques.
Yeah, now you mentioned sourcing. Tell us a little bit about that.
Chipotle is sourcing their ingredients from several different things, and when you look, they're sourcing their products from larger suppliers. Obviously, they have to have enough supply for their store, but they've marketed themselves as serving local. And several conversations that I've had with individuals, and even here in Montana, as they open the store in Billings, Chipotle has been approached to be able to source beef locally, and the decision came from the top down that they were not able to source that. And back in the last couple of years, they even made the decision to go as far as to say that North American farmers and ranchers and beef producers don't meet the integrity requirements for Chipotle, and have begun sourcing their beef all the way from Australia. And I find it hard to believe that it can be more sustainable than sourcing beef here locally in North America.
There we go with that word integrity again. It's a pretty loose term, and obviously not very accurate in this example at all.
No, and I think it's frustrating to those of us in agriculture because we grow up with a lot of integrity and work ethic, and I think that's something that hits hard at home when somebody tries to take advantage of that term and twist it in a different way.
So what's the next step here, I guess, in your mind? Is you've had all these discussions with them. It sounds like you may even have more. Do you feel like you have more clarity on their position or what they're doing? Like, is there some good in what they're doing?
I think that there's definitely good in raising awareness of healthier eating choices and reducing processed foods and getting to understand our food system better. Not that I always agree with their conclusions, but I think that those are good topics for everyone to raise awareness about. But I also think that they're raising these discussions and these conversations about these things. And it's up to us in the agriculture community to take advantage of the opportunity and make sure that our neighbors and our friends and family are aware of these questions. And if they do have any questions that are similar to these, to make sure that we are available to answer those things. And I think that this, in light of recent events this past week or so, with the announcement of non-GMO ingredients in their food sources and these major media outlets calling them out for those discrepancies in that and bringing light to the sound science behind the use of GMO crops, I think that that's definitely progress in our conversations with Chipotle and bringing light to their marketing techniques and what the company is doing.
Yeah, you know what, that's interesting you mentioned that because, in the last 7 days we've seen not only major media calling out Chipotle and some of their claims, Oprah pulling her support of Dr. Oz. There's a little the pendulum is sort of swinging back to a little bit more realism or reality, or maybe a little bit more common sense instead of some of the hype around some of these things.
Oh, exactly. And it's up to us to take advantage of these things and share that information that we have. Farmers and ranchers, we use an abundance of science and technology every day in our work. And I think it's up to us to continue sharing that information, sharing that story, because when consumers get that first impression, we want it to be a positive one, or we want them to feel like agriculture is here to be able to answer their questions honestly and transparently. And I think that's really critically important in the overall scope of these conversations that are happening today and in 2015.
Well, Ryan, thanks a lot for joining us today. Everybody, please check out agricultureproud.com. Ryan does a great job with his blog and has a lot of great information. And Ryan, thanks a lot for joining us today.
Great, thanks. I appreciate you.